Hi, everybody. This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. How are you? We are looking at Capricorn's January 2020. So let's just get started. And this is a live, if you're here when I'm doing it live, feel free to ask questions. I'll try to answer. And if you're watching it later, this was a live stream. And so that means, if somebody does ask a question, I'll do my best to remember to read it clearly to you so you understand what's being asked and then, answer it. And then try to catch me live. You have to subscribe to do that. So just wherever you can subscribe, do that, and then you'll get notified. I think you have to set it for notifications, but try to catch a live chat if you can, so you can ask questions too. There's your chart. Okay. So 2020 is such a big year. We've been talking about it for a while. I think all of you probably, unless you're brand new to astrology and haven't been paying attention for very long, you all know we have this big conjunction going on in Capricorn in your sign, where Saturn and Pluto are conjuncting for the first time in January. And that will be January. I mean, you'll feel it even now as I record this in December. You're going to be feeling it. But things are really coming together, so to speak, because they are conjuncting around, the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. All that swath of days is highlighted, I think, in the month. And at the same time, on the 10th, as we move into this exact conjunction, we have an eclipse with a full moon. And let me just read the list of heavenly bodies or concepts in Capricorn right now. We have Jupiter, we have the South Node, we have Mercury, we have the Sun, we have Saturn, and Pluto. And we're really here in this area just looking in our own solar system. There's so many things beyond our solar system, but just here, there's a lot going on. And so it's a big time. When we have a focus like this, it means there are many changes going on. Also, these planets crunched into Capricorn are working with other things around the chart. So in particular, they're working with the other outer planets, Neptune and Uranus are playing into this. So even though Neptune and Uranus are not in Capricorn, Neptune's in Pisces, Uranus is newly in Taurus, but they're playing into this too. And as is the moon, even though it's in Cancer for the full moon, it's playing into this story that's going on. So it's just highly concentrated. For you, it's highly concentrated in your sign. So what have you planned? You've got Jupiter in your sign this year. It's a great time to plan to do things that you want to do that would feel expansive and abundant and yummy and healthy and life enhancing. So what would you like to do this year, Capricorn? It's a big year for you. It doesn't get any bigger than this, especially big, you're going to equate to Jupiter. It's a big year. It's a big, I think for most of you, lucky year. What do you want to do? Something absolutely for you to move forward, something needs to come to a close. It looks like you do need to leave something behind. And you've been in a process of leaving things. Like, I need to say goodbye to this. I need to shut down this. I need to get rid of this stuff, get rid of old clothes that don't fit you anymore, or they're not your look anymore, old furniture. It's really a paring down of your life so that you get closer and closer to the authentic you. And then you can build back up if you choose, but there's been a process of paring down and getting rid of, and that can be kind of an internal process too. getting rid of old ideas about yourself or about life, and making way for new ideas about yourself and about life. So be intentional about this year, because you won't get this chance again. Hi everybody. Hi Eunice. Hi Stella. Very draining, says Stella. Lots of growing pains the past decade. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready for change. Good. So Stella, you are lucky you're a Capricorn. This is the time of Capricorn. It absolutely is. It's the time of the earth signs. The earth signs are coming more into prominence in an astrological way. But it's going to take a while for humanity to catch up to that. Typically, the earth signs aren't like the rulers of the zodiac at all. They kind of sit in the background a little bit. But over the past decade, many things have occurred kind of led up to this point where earth signs kind of rule. It doesn't mean that the other signs are bad or can't be leaders or anything like that. It's just because everybody has all these earth signs within their personality, and within signs are playing a role. We're all water sign. You have in your chart, you have these earth signs. So everybody gets a piece of this, no matter what sign the person is. This rulership of the earth signs will come out in everybody's personality. There will be a kind of a collective yearning for practicality, stability, long-term planning, being able to look beyond today, tomorrow, and even this generation. So it's a time when really Capricorn, you're ruling, and your values are coming out into the collective. Because again, even though not everybody is a sun sign Capricorn or a moon sign Capricorn, I'm a moon Capricorn, or a rising Capricorn, they still have this. They contain elements of Capricorn in their personality and in their life. And so each person is going to feel this Capricorn prominence within them somehow. It's going to draw them in different directions that have to do with Capricorn concerns and what Capricorn likes and wants to do. Capricorn wants to build stability over the long term and have a plan. And it's very practical. It's no nonsense. And let's see. Lincej. I'm not sure how to say that, but I'm just going to spell it out. Seems some of the things are saying goodbye by themselves. Yeah. Yes, that will happen too. What happens, with astrology and just in life, is that some decisions will be made for us. We don't have control over anything outside of us, really. We can only control our own thoughts and our own actions. That's all we have control over. And sometimes with these energies, when they come around, like Pluto and Saturn together, they will remove things on their own. And the overall goal is to help each person grow and evolve, and to get more practical. Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn, that doesn't get any more. We have to get practical than that. We have to get practical in some way as a collective and as individuals, but not practical necessarily in a boring way or a restrained kind of way. In fact, with Pluto and Jupiter coming into the frame here together, there's this interplay with all these energies where normally with Saturn, you would think words like contraction or boundaries or restraint, but that's only one way of looking at it. Saturn, sometimes the boundaries need to change. Sometimes they need to be torn down. It's just observing good boundaries, and good boundaries aren't fortress walls necessarily. In some situation, they're fortress walls, metaphorically or for real. Sometimes you need that kind of defense system and boundary system. But sometimes um, strong, too strong boundaries can be unhealthy. You know, if you have too many walls built up emotionally, you can't connect with other people. That's an unhealthy boundary. And Saturn and Pluto coming together will want to encourage people who have too high of an emotional wall built around themselves to begin to soften that. And if the person's too scared, Pluto, to change the boundary, Saturn, then Pluto acts like a wrecking ball. It just does. So if we're stubborn about what Pluto is asking us to let go of, Pluto will come in like this huge wrecking ball and just crush it for us. So sometimes as people who you're meant to leave and let go of because they're not serving you anymore, they're not taking you on a good track, and you're not doing your best growth with a person or a group of people, a job. If you're not doing your best growth in that scenario or with those people, then, and you're not choosing to make changes on your own, sometimes the energy around Pluto and Saturn, for example, will do it for you, especially if they're working in conjunction. And by conjunction, in this case, I don't mean they're conjunct in Capricorn, but they're working with Uranus. Uranus also comes in and like an earthquake. So kind of like a wrecking ball, because earthquakes can, after an earthquake goes through certain areas, it can look like a wrecking ball came through. So there's a lot of big change going on and a lot of tearing down. And some people won't experience it quite as strongly because they've already been working on this stuff so intentionally. They've just felt motivated to make a lot of change and kind of answering that internal wisdom. And so for some people, they're just going to be kind of like the surfer who's riding the wave. And then some people are going to feel more like the wave is encroaching and they're not sure if they're going to be able to surf it or get crushed by it. And they feel a little like that. And some people are going to be kind of pushed down and have to struggle to come up for air. It just depends on how intentionally you're using this energy. So a lot depends on your own actions and what you're choosing to do for yourself and how aggressively you're clinging to old structures, old ideas that need to go, old thought patterns and habits that need to go. So take a good, as we approach, this is such a great time of year to be really thoughtful and go inward and notice. Each one of you knows what it is you need to change. And it's no mystery. Nobody needs to tell you. Deep down, your wisdom, your higher wisdom, your most reliable wisdom knows exactly where it is you need to grow. And it will, you just feel a tug and you just get like little glimmers of ahas and epiphanies, both small and large with these energies that kind of work on us. And you know which ways are supposed to go, and you know who you need to let go of, and you know which situations no longer serve you. So there's a part of you that really knows, but of course we're human, and we especially earth signs will tend to cling to things for a long time, especially a Capricorn. Capricorns will hang on for a long time to people, friends, family members, relationships, situations. Capricorns, you're a loyal bunch. And so it's hard to let go. But there are probably, you've just been in a process of letting go, sometimes willingly and sometimes not willingly. And we're entering a whole new era. It's a new decade. It's a new era. There's an enormous undercurrent of cultural change worldwide, and you're at the heart of it. And so in many ways, it's my strong belief that each person is here to help lead the way forward. No person is excluded from that. We're all very, very important. So each one of you, whether the role seems small or large to you, I'm not saying everybody has to be Superwoman or Superman, but in some way, just by being you and being your best self, you are advancing the world. And that does, again, it doesn't have to be a big grand gesture, but it's just by being your authentic self and doing what you do best. And I don't even mean like for a living, I don't mean like you have to make something or produce something or achieve something, but the stripping away quality, the letting go quality that everybody is experiencing, Capricorn in particular, it's that reduction way of getting to the beauty that's left after the stripping away. So I forget. I think there's a quote. There's somebody out there who has a quote. I'm gonna have to look it up now. But there's this idea that a great sculptor, when they look at a block of wood or a piece of marble, they see, the beautiful statue inside of it, just waiting to come out. That the amorphous blob of stone or wood is really this beautiful thing that's inside. And to get to that beautiful thing that's really there, the spirit of what's really in that block of wood or piece of stone, you strip away what isn't the, statue of Venus or, a carving of a beautiful bird or something. The bird's just waiting to come out and spread its wings. The statue of Venus is, waiting to be the beauty that it is. So that's kind of the process everyone's going through, but you in particular, because it's all in your sign. So what does it mean when all this is going on during an eclipse? Well, let's take a look. Eclipses are really just moon events on steroids a little bit, but it's a full moon, so it's got typical full moon kind of meaning, which is what we've been talking about: the stripping away, the letting go, starting something new, stepping into a new era. That's that meaning, and it's amplified because it's going on with this conjunction of Saturn and Pluto, and all the other things I just listed. So sweeping change, enormous change. Sometimes you feel it more as an undercurrent emotionally. Sometimes it's very visible in your world around you. Can be a little of both. But we also have this star. If you look beyond our solar system, we've got this star called Sirius in Cancer. And the full moon and eclipse is happening across the area of sky where Sirius is out in the background, far, far away. It's a binary star system. It has metaphorical meanings that link to like a dog. So it's got this dog symbolism. So when you think of a dog, what are the traits of a dog? Well, they're very loyal. They're social animals, social creatures. But there's also this idea of a lone wolf. So there's this kind of duality between lone wolf and, going in a pack. But certainly with dogs, I think loyalty and strength in numbers. So Sirius also, I would say, there's a type of luck associated with it. It's not luck like Jupiter necessarily exactly, but there's a kind of luck. There's the opportunity of trying to think the best way to describe it. What's the best way to distinguish it from Jupiter? Jupiter's like expansive. It's like, the mythology of Santa Claus, this big, happy man with just an endless, a bag of endless, material wealth. It's kind of the party planet, abundant food and drink. And it's got this kind of joyous, ebullient quality. Sirius is a different kind of luck. It's more practical. It's more nurturing, has to do with the tides and the water, the flow of water, which also links to crops growing. It has a cyclical nature. So it's more about harvesting, like using natural cycles to find. I'm kind of reaching because I'm trying to figure out how do I distinguish it from Jupiter, but it's more about a harvest, like the harvest, gathering, taking advantage of the natural resources as they come to you. So I think in January, noticing, if we look at it, it's a Cancer moon, look at it like a tide that comes in and goes out. And in both forms, whether the tide's coming in, that metaphorically can mean things coming towards you, like things just flowing to you very easily. And the tide going out, the water is moving away, but it reveals things on the ocean floor. And often with a full moon, I talked to you about seeing what is revealed. So opportunities may be revealed, things that were hiding in plain sight that are like little treasures for you. And it just depends on where Cancer is hitting your chart, where Capricorn's hitting your chart. But for you guys, Cancer is in this area of partnership. So it can mean that it's a moment, in like a partnership for you. It could be in love. It could be a friendship. It could be a business partnership. There could be a moment where things come together. The tide comes in. Maybe partners flow toward you in terms of business partners, clients, or maybe you have a lot of people wanting to work with you, like collaborate. The tide could come in terms of maybe in love. If you're single, there could be a type of tide coming in. But there's also this idea of leaving behind. There may still be some letting go. So if you're single and you want love, I think to be available for what comes in, you've also got to have a little bit of a void there. And if you're still clinging to old, attachments, it can be harder to have that opening and to see what's hiding in plain sight. There's something about hiding in plain sight here. So sometimes we just don't see all the possibilities and the availability for love in our world because we're so busy staying attached to something, an idea about love, old suitors, old exes. So just it's really know thyself, and if you're still kind of dreaming about somebody in your mind, or if you have like kind of an unrealistic idea about love. If you're in a committed relationship, there's a kind of moment here where it just depends on what's been going on up until now in our business relationship or love relationship. So if you're in a committed long-term relationship, or you're in a committed long-term work partnership, it depends a lot about what's going to go down this year, in this month in particular. It has to do with what the existing status quo is. So if you're in a troubled work relationship or love relationship, then all this, the full moon and the eclipse, and, Sirius is the brightest star because it's binary, and Jupiter, all this stuff will amplify some of the problems there if there have been problems that haven't been resolved. But if things have been going pretty well and you've been, growing together as partners in business, or growing together as partners in love, and everyone's kind of been doing that stripping away process that is Saturn and Pluto, and kind of on their game in their own self-development. And when I say all this, I don't mean to bring like guilt or shame to the people who maybe feel like, I haven't been doing all this self-development, bad me. I don't mean to make it seem like you're bad if you feel like you haven't been paying attention or as intentional as you'd like to be. This is just, when I talk about these things, I just want you to see the possibilities that you can be intentional about how you want to develop yourself and partnerships and your life. You can use your own will and desire about what you want, and in doing so, you can still be open to seeing where you could change and grow. And sometimes that's hard because we have to admit that there is something that could change and grow. Uh, I don't want you to feel bad about wherever you are. It's all just human. It's all just a process of being human and what we go through cyclically, all of us. So it just depends. But I would say, for a single Capricorn, there's definitely opportunity here to, by letting go of the past, grow your love life for sure. Same in business. So there's a lot of opportunity this year for you, and it's definitely a power year for you. And I would fully expect many Capricorns to be taking on leadership positions, kind of stepping into their full power, showing up more visibly as competent, masterful people. So let yourself shine. Step out of the shadows and let people see you. Let people see your brilliance and what you're made of. Show yourself just how great you are, and believe in you. Let's see. Love Triber is a Cancer rising. Yeah, so you got it going on both ends. Monica says hi. Hi, Monica. So anyway, I think it's just the year is off to an amazing start, especially for Capricorns. It's definitely a power year, and you are lucky. It doesn't mean, when you're lucky and you have a power year, it doesn't mean everything's perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't have emotions that feel challenging. That's a part of life. But definitely, I would say focus on where the opportunity, given this full moon and kind of the fact that it's kind of moving over Sirius and with Jupiter coming in and the nodal action, I would say the opportunity is so rich. And sometimes there's this stuff hiding in plain sight. Money hiding in plain sight, love partners, potential hiding in plain sight, potential friends hiding in plain sight, that they're there and maybe you're just not able to see it. There's scientific studies that show how our perception is so conditioned by how we grew up and conditioned by our culture, to the degree that we really are trained to see things a certain way, but we can untrain so that we can see more. For example, this was, the poor kittens in this study, but there was a study with kittens where in one room they had kittens who could only see vertical lines. Everything was vertical, black and white. In another room, the kittens all were seeing horizontal black and white lines, only horizontal things. And so as the kittens grew, they adjusted to either this horizontal world or this vertical world. And then when, they were taken out of those settings after they had adapted, it was hard for the kittens who were raised in the vertical world to understand horizontal things. Like they didn't even know where things were. It was hard to make sense. They literally couldn't see the stuff that was horizontal. The kittens who were raised, in horizontal land literally could not see the stuff that was vertical. And I just recently adopted a greyhound, and I'm getting this lesson firsthand. She also is like the kittens who were raised in horizontal land. She doesn't understand what hills are, um, stairs. Uh, they're just things she's never seen before, and it's like we've just dropped her into a new planet or something. She doesn't understand what a hill, like when the ground rises up in front of her, like a hill does. It doesn't. It's like the world is doing something, like physics has gone wrong, you know. So we're the same way. We're absolutely the same way. And so a part of, I think, January is um, for you guys and for everybody, but it's so personal to you. And it has very much to do with the people in your life, your partners, and also that there's stuff hiding in plain sight. It just depends on how old you are, your relationship status. It's all going to be, there's so many different Capricorns out there, but be on the lookout for seeing things a new way and discovering, like, when the tide goes out or a wave rolls out, there are these little treasures there. And then also notice the quality in your life of the tide coming in and bringing you things very easily. So I think there's just so much opportunity, and it's so much that it's almost hard to comprehend. But you have to be able, like the kittens who could only see one kind of stripe, you have to try to strip away the illusion and see a little bit more broadly, to see a little differently. And that takes some work and some dedication. So I think if you can kind of just hold lightly these concepts as you move into January, just try to see openly and without illusion, and notice what happens. If you're not sure what January is going to bring you, some people know, like, the changes coming up for them, but if you're not sure, then really be intentional about staying mindful and aware, and look for the opportunities, look for the treasures out there, because there's just so much available to you, is what I want you to know. All right, guys. If you want your annual forecast, you can go to the membership lounge. If you want weekly forecast, you can go to the membership lounge. I've got the link below, and join us there for more. I also have some astrology lessons in there, and I'm doing a series on the South Node, and members each month, somebody gets selected for a free reading. So come join us there. Take care, guys.